today I'm going to do a demonstration on the double haul. I'd like to speak to you a little bit about the double haul because I see so many mistakes with new casters and even experienced casters. So first of all, what exactly is the double haul? The double haul is when you see that guy out in the field or he's practicing or he's on the river and you see his other hand moving. You see him, he looks something like this, right? Two hands, look familiar? Two hands, that's a double haul. Now anybody tell me, why do we double haul? Why? Speed, awesome. Okay, which direction right now is the wind blowing? I can tell you it's blowing in my face. It kind of sucks a little bit. So when you have wind, you need to have some extra energy to really get your fly and your line through the wind. So oftentimes we'll use a double haul. We'll also use a double haul when we need more distance. Now, why does the double haul give us more distance or more power? It's because we're using two hands to load the rod instead of one. So we obviously have more power. In English, we say that we're generating additional line speed. Okay, let's talk about how we do it. Well, it's called a double haul for two. Double means two. For every one time that our single hand or our rod casting hand moves, our hauling hand moves twice. 1, 2. We go back once and pull and meet your hands together. See the difference? Forward and pull and meet your hands together. Back and pull. Now everybody, you're not free. Come back and pull and meet your hands together. Thank you, Robert. Robert learned yesterday. Come on, forward and pull and meet your hands together. I'm going to make it into a dance. Back and pull and meet your hands together. Forward and pull, everybody, and pull, meet your hands together. You too, you guys, I can see you. Vancouver, British Columbia hat. Back and pull and meet your hands together. Forward and pull and meet your hands together. I'm going to show you an exercise that I like to show my students with an elastic band. So, oftentimes, students have a really hard time learning how to double haul. I'll have them start by patting their head and rubbing their belly. And I let them know that if they can do this, they can double haul. Can you do that, gray sweater? Can you do this? Yes, you don't look around. I'm talking right to you, beside you. You, yes? You can't do this? Oh, I'm afraid you can't double haul then. Okay, if you can do that, then you can double haul. So what I have a lot of people do is with an elastic, I have them hold the cork or their handle and not casting. It's called a pantomime haul. Come back and pull, and then it forces you to meet your hands together. Forward and pull, and it forces you to meet your hands together. Thank you. I love you back there for doing this with me. Back and pull, meet your hands together. Thank you, Robert. Forward and pull, meet your hands together. So a really good thing to do when you're at home watching television is just grab an elastic band and really force your hands to meet back together. Okay, now let's talk about why it's so important that our hands meet together. What is the number one enemy in casting? Anybody? Wind? Oh, no, wind is not the number one enemy. What's the number one enemy in casting? Anybody? Any instructors that know? Slack. Slack is the number one enemy. Fishing, casting, all of the above. What's the German word for slack? Oh, I can't say it. Say it again? Sure. Are you making me swear? Sure? Lose. I am not a loser. Loser? Loose line? Loose line? Loose line. Loose line works great. Okay. Slack equals loose line. So let's talk about how we get slack. If you come back and don't bring your hands together, what is this? Anybody? What is that? Loose line or slack. Let's look at how that looks with the cast. Okay, this is what it looks like with a cast. Look, don't look at my loop. Who cares about the loop? Look at the slack line. Do you see it? Okay, that is very, very, very bad for casting. You're not going to have the power that you need. So now let's talk about what another big problem is with double hauling. Excellent. Another big problem with double hauling is sometimes people have a poor loop. Now, if you have a bad loop, do you have the power? Do you know what loop means in English? Loop, sexy loop, you, a you, right? You. If you have an open loop, it's really hard to have the power in your back cast to want to pull your hands together. And if you can't pull your hands together, you now have, what's it called? Green shirt? Slack, yes, and loose line, okay. Another reason why you might not be able to have your hands pulled together is if you have too little line out, you may not have enough power to have your hands meet together. So it's really important that with your back cast, that you allow your rod tip to come back beyond noon to, 12 o'clock, straight up, to say maybe 2 o'clock. If we only come back to 12, I just don't have the energy to have my hands pulled together, so I have everybody now, slack, right? Okay, so watch what happens now when I bring my rod tip back to say 2 o'clock. Now all of a sudden, when I begin to double haul, now the slack is gonna go away, and I'm able to get my loops out and through the wind that's blowing into my face. Okay. Another really, really common casting error that I promise you 50% of you do, and if you want to take me up on the bet later, I will put money on the table. I'm a betting woman. So many casters come back in their back cast and do this. From the side, I'll show you guys. They come back. Yes, look familiar to some of you? We've all seen the guy on the river do it. If you allow your rod tip to bounce back at you and not stop at a complete and immediate, abrupt stop, you simply, again, don't have the power to let your hands do what?
Goes up. I have to meet.
Meet! Awesome! Sorry, Alexis, it's not your fault. Now, Alexis is a violinist. He plays the violin. So it came very natural for him to meet his hands together, and he's a wonderful caster. So that's another thing to really think of. If you need an analogy, think about a violinist, how they have their hands and how they come together. Okay, so let's go ahead a little bit further. When you are hauling, it is very important that you understand that if you have a short line, you must have a short haul. It looks like this. Always start low and down to the ground. Short line, short haul. Short line, short haul. Short, short. As you start to extend your cast, you may have a longer haul. If you're casting a very long line, then you are going to want to have a long haul. Make sense? Okay, what happens if I use a long haul on a short cast? I'm going to beat the word slack into all of you by the end of the day. If I have a long haul with a short line, let me show you. Long haul, short line. What do you see? Starts with an S and ends in a K. Slack, loose line, okay. Excellent. So it's really important that you match your hauling size accordingly to the size of the line or the amount of the line that you have out. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you, by the way, for acknowledging me. Here's a note, something to think of when you go out there, and let's say you're training for a competition or one of these shows where everybody stares at you vacantly. If you want to have maximum distance with your hauling hand, it's a really good trick. This is what the Ray Jeffs do in America. If you are factoring in distance with maximum energy and a long drifted stroke, you need more power and longer distance. Watch. With your hauling hand, come down. Aha. And watch. It looks kind of feminine. Flick. Right? So with long distance, those of you who are casting a full fly line, which I'm certainly not going to do right now with the wind in my face and in front of all of you, it's too scary. As you come down, flick. So you give yourself that little extra acceleration to load all the way into the rod, and it also lengthens your stroke by probably 4 to 6 inches. Make sense? Okay, now, one last thing and then I'm going to finish this up. With the double haul, you need to consider this your energy hand right now, okay? Nothing changes with your casting hand. It stays exactly the same. But you can use this hand for so much more than just an overhead cast. So at home, I fish a lot of small coastal streams, and I don't use a double hand rod. I use my single hand rod. So as you can see, as I've been doing all demonstration, I roll cast with my second hand. There's only so much line that I can cast with one hand. As soon as I have two hands, I'm able to generate more line speed and be able to cast further. So as you do your forward cast, start with your hands together so you don't have any slack. Watch what happens when I do it this way. I just don't have the power. I'm not tight to my line. But if I bring my hands together and I pull on my forward delivery, it usually wants to just shoot forward. If you're doing a snap tee and you want to have the maximum distance, use your other hand. Haul, meet, haul, meet, haul, deliver. Let's do that in fast time. Okay, haul, meet, haul, haul. Good? Again. Haul, meet, haul, meet. Get the rocks off. And deliver. Okay, well then for me that is a wrap. Thank you. If you have any questions, please come on up and I'll help you with your casting. Thank you, you guys. Thank you, Mr. Sims.